Welcome back. So we've moved on to question 7 from the 2013 state exam paper 2, 2013. So first thing to do is to read the question carefully. So we have 54 people. Which party they voted for in the last 3 elections. We get all these numbers, so we won't go into too much worrying about reading this. This is just the raw data, and until we're asked questions, we don't really care a whole lot about it. So represent the information in a Venn diagram. Okay, so this is a sets question. So there are 3, and there'd never be a 4-way. There's only a 3-way Venn diagram. So we're thinking, and notice how much space I use up here. We're thinking, now, I could use, I can use kind of very nice circles, but at the same time, I'm just telling you, you may not be able to do this. Okay, so the important thing is that they overlap. You know what? I'm going back on that. I'll just use freehand, which is what you're using. So the main thing is to do nice, big, generous overlap. Now we have to decide, and this came up before when we discussed this in class, I just like to, it just looks more stable. I know that doesn't mean anything in terms of a diagram, but I like to put 2 to the side and 1 on top. Okay, and give ourselves plenty of space for the universal set. And just use an individual letter to represent these. So this is a job you just have to get done. Which side should I put the Liberals and the Republicans on? It doesn't matter. Always leave room in front of the letter though, so that you can say, you can put the cardinal number in here. And anticipate that it'll arrive by putting space for it up front. Okay. So we generally, sometimes we need to use algebra, but it depends how it's going. We'll just keep our thinking hats on here and work from the inside out. So 5 had voted for all 3 parties. Do not put dots on these because they're not elements. 8 had voted for Conservative and for Republicans. Conservative and Republicans was 8. But remember, 5 of them already had voted for all 3 parties, so there's only 3 left. Okay, now let's tick these off as we go. 9 had voted for L and R. L and R is across here, was 9. So 4 goes here. And 12 was the C and L, which is here. And so 7 goes here, because 12 take away 5 is 7. Moving on up along, looks like it's an easy enough question so far. 22 for the Republicans, or for Republican. So I need to get 22 take away this. Now you'll do this at your own pace, and you can take it away piecewise. But I think the best thing, of course you're going to, you know, we'll just rest our heads a little bit. And I'll put in the calculator. I know you're astonished by this, and of course I could do it in another way. But I'm trying to get 22, take 5, take 4, and take 3. The main thing is, you know, you can do this on a calculator. And you know why you're doing this. To get an answer of 10. Okay, there's my keystroke log, or the keystroke history there. Just trying to... Okay, so 10 goes here. 22 had voted for Liberals. By the way, writing that 22 here is great. And 22 were Republicans. And indeed, I'll just furthermore write 30 here. Okay. So 16 because I'm looking at 9 and 7 is 16 away from 22 is 6. But by all means go 22, take 7, take 5, take 4, and you'll get your 6. 30 is what's distributed with this number, plus we need to subtract these. So you see 7 and 3 are friends of 10, so that's 10. So there's 20 left. 20 take 5 is 15. Or don't use mental maths if you don't like using mental maths, use a calculator. Now the problem is we've got to be very careful and check, and it's quite unlikely that we've used up all 54 people. So we may need a number out here. Maybe no harm in putting it like this. Not that it has to be in a bracket, but, and indeed it shouldn't be in a bracket. Okay, so just put a number out here, just like that number 10 isn't in a bracket. Okay, but what I could do is put the universal up here, and I will do, and this is important. So that means I'm continuing on with the system. So now I cannot count the 30 to 22 or to 22 and these. So let's look for friends of 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That's probably by design the way they did that. So 54 take 50 is 4. If one person is chosen at random, what is the probability that that person chosen did not vote for any of the three in any of the 3 elections? So that's these 4 people. So what's the probability? So probability is the number 4 divided by 54. Okay, and I could do that in my head, maybe, maybe not. I think it's 2 over 27, but I'm encouraging you to get the answer right. And so some of you would way prefer, a lot of you would way prefer to do it in the calculator, because many of you might just leave that at 5 over 54 and lose marks, and that would be terrible. The answer is 2 over 27. You can write something like probability and somehow to describe in words what the event was. No voting, no, did not vote, no voting, something like that. But you don't have to put that in, that's optional. By the way, if it's very short answers, you don't have to put boxes around everything. You can, but we don't have to. And now I've gone and messed up myself here, so I'll take that away. If one person is chosen at random, what is the probability that the person chosen voted? It's for at least 2 different parties. Now, by the way, this chosen at random, what is the probability? You know, that all is just continually being repeated, and we don't really need to see it. And even indeed, if the one person chosen, so what's the chances they voted for at least 2 parties? So either 2 parties or 3 parties. So we can do this directly rather than indirectly by counting all of the 2 parties or 3 party numbers, which is inside in this kind of flower shape here. So we want to add them up. 10 and 9 is 19. So the number of events which meets the criteria we were talking about is 19. And the total number is 54. Now, I don't think anything happens there, but you need to be careful and be sure. If you're not sure, plug it through the calculator, and if nothing happens, then it's already in reduced terms. So I don't have to say what that's equal to because it's correct. So that's all you have to do there. At least 2 parties. Optional. If one person is chosen, again, here we go. So the person chosen. So basically, and here's the thing, you see, they're making you read so much nonsense when we're just saying, come on, let's cut to the chase. What's going on? Same party in all 3 elections. Well, that sounds awfully like these people here, these 5. The same party in all 3 elections. But is that what that means? 5 people. Oh, I don't think that's what it means at all. I think 5 had voted for all 3 parties, but not necessarily every single year. There's a problem with this question. What's the probability the person, if a person is chosen at random, what is the probability that that person voted for the same party in all 3 elections? Can we really tell? Now, what you do here is you kind of move on. You maybe, but if I write anything in any way clever, I'll get 10 marks. But I think there's a problem with the question. And I'm wondering, why isn't the 54 coming out to be treble that value in here? Because it was over 3 elections. Which political party they had voted for in the last 3 elections. So every 54 of those people gave 3 answers. He said, oh, I voted for, oh, they only voted for 1 party each time. Yeah, but that still should be 150 plus 12, 162. Oh, I get it. I think I get it now. So this is an or question. They either voted for Conservatives 3 times. So what you do is you work out what's the probability of voting for Conservative once. And the answer is 15 over 54. But that number needs to happen 3 times. So it has to be cubed using the fundamental principle of counting. And then, but another possibility is they voted for Republicans. And if so, they could have voted for Conservatives 3 times. So Conservative by 3, or Republican by 3, or Liberal by 3. That was a hard question. You see, I struggled with it, and so did you maybe. And if you came up with this answer, it's brilliant. If you didn't, and you understand this, understand this solution, that's also brilliant. And you get to fill in, turn in your homework a little bit late and copy me, but you're learning. Or you can tell me you got there straight away, and that's great. I'm interested to hear how you got on when you're doing this question. Okay, so again, and I hope that's right. You see, because anyone who voted for 2 people or 3 parties definitely didn't vote for the 1 party each time. So we got this. Okay, 6 over 54 is cubed, and the 10 over 54 is cubed. So this is the time to be careful on our calculators. I'm going to turn this sidebar on so that I get more room for my calculator over near to the left. Alright, so we need brackets on the fraction bars. And we need fraction bars. It's okay to turn it on now. And we need to cube. You go looking for your cube button. I didn't turn it on at the right time. Come back. I need it to come out first. Then turn on. Then cube. Then plus. Now we get into the swing of things here. Fraction bar. Do your fraction bars early. Down 54. And you could have taken out. I'll show you a second thing because there's a nice piece of numeracy going on here. So I'll show you a way we could have done this even quicker. bracket, because without the fraction the bracket I'm not going to be cubing a fraction. Mind you, the next thing I'm going to show you will avoid all those key presses or whatever you're called. That's cubed. Okay. So 0.02916. And that's the probability, and that's correct. But I want to go back and show you a quicker way of filling that in. You see, because the 54 cubed is repeating all the time. Excuse me. So that's a common denominator, you see. So I could have just gone up with a fraction bar and said, up top I'll put 15 cubed and 6 cubed and 10 cubed. And down below I'll put 54 cubed just the once. Okay, and it's all, and that was a lot easier, a lot quicker. And we should get the same answer. Now let's go. And by the way, it's not giving it to me as a decimal just because the numbers are so big, but it is a decimal as well, I presume. Yeah, won't swap it into it. 0.0291 again, same result. So that's a better way of doing it, and so I learned something there. But I think both answers, both ways of representing it is good because it shows you how to. This is a better way of thinking about it, but a better way of calculating it is what I just showed you. That's question 7 done. We'll probably leave it at that and have you turn in those 3 questions for definite before class on Friday.